The next talk is by Concord Kananura, and he's a regional coordinator for Africa, GovStack regional coordinator. Floor yours. Thank you. And
good morning, everyone.
morning.
My name is Concord Kananura. I'm the GovStack regional coordinator for Africa, and I will be talking to you about how, as GovStack, we are working on design. Thank you. I will be talking about how, as GovStack, we're working on designing the next generation of digital government services. So what do we mean by the next generation of public services, and how and why do we need to reinvent this? What we've noticed is that as citizens, we expect the public service to just work, and that's not usually the case. We have different challenges, like a long number of iterations, sometimes corruption because the service is slow and we need to push it. And then how do we want to improve these services? It's by using reusable open source software components. And I will show you how this has helped many countries, some of the leading countries in the world. And what do they have in common is that they have the digital transformation component as a key state policy. They have trans-sectoral mandates to implement the digital government agenda and budget. They also they use shared services and open source reusable software components as a key element for digitization. In addition to that, they have interdisciplinary teams from software developers to service designers, etc. So when I talk about GovStack, maybe some of you are not familiar with it. It's a partnership by 4 implementing partners. We have the ITU. I'm a consultant for ITU. ITU, we're involved in the implementation part together with GIZ. We have the government of Estonia, who are more involved in the strategy and policy part. And then we have the Digital Impact Alliance, DIAL, who are more involved in a capacity building area. So as we've seen from the previous examples, we want to bring this approach of using building blocks, which are software components that are reusable and open source, and encourage adoption around the countries in the world. Currently, we are working with Rwanda on an extended producer responsibility use case. We also have started with Kenya and Djibouti in Africa, Egypt, and we have other projects going on in Europe and in Latin America. So GovStack also is aligned with the SDGs, and in this regard, we want to provide open architecture and building block specification to our partners. We are going to put a sandbox together, make it available for countries to test the prototypes of services before they implement this in the countries. And we also provide capacity buildings and accompany the countries during the adoption process. So we want to create a common platform so that we don't have to, each department doesn't have to redesign from scratch a service, but use those software components and adopt them to their needs, and in this way have a whole of a government approach to digitization. So we also, for now, we have 6 building blocks available. Already specifications are published. It does include the registration, payments, registries, identification, and authentication. And we have 2 batches of additional building blocks that are going to be published very soon. And those available and public already, we have them on our GovStack Gitbook page, and they are accessible for the public. So how can you engage with GovStack? Countries are invited to either be implementing partners, so we work with them in digitizing their public services. They can also contribute as partners in developing and reviewing the building block specifications. And we invite also the countries to participate in the learning and exchange areas as part of the communities of practice. So this is it, and I'll be around if you need to discuss this any further. Thank you.
Thanks, Concord.